Welcome back, everyone, to the Game Time Podcast. Got a little heated there, talking about the Lakers. Went a little longer than we expected there. No personal feelings, right? It doesn't bother me. We were talking about it there at the end of the segment, but we are moving on to the next segment. Ramon kind of hit all the series. Me and Daryl mainly talked about Indiana and Cleveland there in that first half. What I want to hit on first is New York and Boston, or what I want to hit on next is New York and Boston. I think the most interesting stat when I was watching the game live was Boston. I mean, Boston all year has been a three-point shooting team, right? And they live and die by the three. They take a lot of threes. And I think that's one of the main reasons they lost against New York on whatever night it was, May 5th. So what was that, 2 nights ago? So Sunday. I think that's why they lost on Sunday. Boston shot 15 of 60 from three-point land. You're not winning shooting like that. New York took half of that amount of threes, basically, and they shot 17 of 37. I think that's what basically helped New York at the end of the day was Boston missing all of those threes. And I think that's the thing. I heard someone say Boston should go away from all the three-point shots, and it's kind of like with Indiana last year. You're not going to go away from what got you to the dance. Boston shoots threes. This is what they've done all year. This is what they do last year. They are a three-point shooting team. They take the most threes. I think they shoot the most threes out of every team in the league by far. So I don't think Boston's that much in trouble. I mean, Tatum had 23. Brown had 23. I mean, all your star players came to play other than Porzingis. Porzingis put up a donut in that game, but I don't think that really – I mean, it hurts, but I don't think it matters when you've got Holiday, Derek White, Pritchard, Tatum, and Brown all in double digits at the end of the day. You just lost a close one, but I definitely think shooting 15 of 60 definitely doesn't help your case at all. And then on the side of New York, I got to give a lot of credit to Karl Anthony Towns. And I think he's been the reason why this team is, if they do get to the finals or if they do maybe win it all, I think Towns is going to be the reason they do. You know, you can talk about getting Mikal Bridges and re-signing Anunoby, but I think at the end of the day, I think Cat doesn't get a lot of respect that he should. I think Cat is a really good center. I think when you look at the top centers in the league, he's maybe in those top 5 conversations, but I think he's a little bit outside of it. But he plays like he could be in the top 5. Cat has been really good throughout his whole career, but now he's just on a team that has the right roster around him. And Cat really shows up when he does, but he also knows when to take a back seat. I give a lot of credit to the way Cat has played throughout these playoffs. And I think if New York does get far and they do happen to win it all, he's going to be a big reason why.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I would agree 100% with that. But what I would disagree with is I think he's top 5.
Okay.
Center
Fair enough.
The reason why is because he shoots the ball well. He's a defender who people don't respect, but you look up, he'll have 3 blocks. He'll have 12 rebounds, right? He's gonna shoot probably 38% from 3, right? And last night night before last, I saw a graphic. I'm not sure how accurate it is. I didn't vet it. He was shooting 49% from the field and 47% from 3. I don't know if that's accurate. I don't know if that was just that game or what it was, but I was like, man, that's pretty damn good. As a guy who's 7 foot tall, and he's not the most, he's not a powerful guy. So he's a better Miles Turner because he plays a little stronger around the basket. Contact doesn't affect him as much as it does Miles. Neither one are Shaq, but it doesn't affect him as much. And he keeps playing, man. That's the other thing. The offense is played for him not just for spot up 3. They'll put him in the post, right? They'll put him in the post, and there are times he struggled with bigger, stronger guys, but just put him in there though, man. So I gotta give New York a lot of credit. I'll be honest, I don't like New York. I want them to lose, right? But I'm telling you, the way Brunson played, the way he shot the ball, the way Hart played with a lot of heart, legitimately. OG, I love OG from Indiana.
Love OG.
Of course, the guy's tough. I'm gonna tell you this: the flip side is you got Tatum. At the last 5 minutes of the game, I don't know what his field goal percentage was. I'll bet you he was like 1 for 8.
Horrible.
And that's why? Because to Ramon's point, he kept shooting threes. The dude is 6'10", athletic, and he's fluid.
He
And he
shot
can.
he shot
What?
0 of 7 from field goal range and 0 of 5 from 3 in the fourth quarter.
I'm not a prophet. I'm just saying, just watch the game. And that's what I'm saying. He kept pulling up, but here's the thing. That's how they play. Their coach says,
yes,
we want to lead the league in 3-point attempts. Okay. So what do you do when the game's tight? I'm not saying you nut up, but the game's tight and you got an advantage in the paint, and you don't take advantage of it because I want to go with what we've always done. And that's like in corporate world as well. Well, we've always done it this way. Well, yeah, your profits are 20% dropped over the last 3 years, but yet you still want to keep doing the same way.
yeah.
It's you got to pivot a little bit, and they haven't done it.
Yeah, I'm curious to see if they will pivot, right? Because Barkley said it on TNT last year with Indiana. He's like, you played 82 games playing the way you play. Why are you going to switch it up at the 85th or the 8th? Yeah. So I think for New York, I could see them taking less threes, but I don't see them taking a major decrease to do it, right? They won the championship last year. So who are we to say, but I agree. If they take a small pivot and they do what they need to do, and I think the big thing too is Porzingis having 0 points is also kind of what hurt them, right? Because Porzingis is their dark horse. If Porzingis is also on that night, it makes them the scariest team in the league when they already were the scariest team in the league. So once again, it was a tight game. They lost because of the amount of threes they took, but once again, I don't see them shooting that bad. At least, hopefully, not again, right? You just don't think they will because they're the reigning champs. But once again, you give New York a lot of credit for the way they play. And Jalen Brunson is, I think he's pretty much made it clear in this playoff run. If people didn't think about it last year, he is a viable number one option for that Knicks team. Ramon, you got any thoughts before we pivot to another series?
About Knicks Celtics?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead.
Celtics in 6.
Okay.
I don't agree with what they do. And I think they make things harder than what it needs to be. But man, they good at what they do. Now, they're pretty bad. But when they do it, and they often do it, they're pretty good at it. So I don't think there'll ever be a dynasty or a dominant team. But I think they're a team that if the Knicks can put them away early, 4-1, then it can happen. But the longer the game goes, the series goes, the more it's in their favor that they're going to do what they do and shoot threes and win. The end.
That's respectable, but you got to make them. And then remember, they were up 20 points in the third quarter. We haven't hit that yet. 20 points at home in the third quarter. Crowds going crazy. Players going crazy. That says a lot about the NBA game, though, right? You're never out of it. That's why you got to keep on ball. And I'll leave it at that for myself.
Let's move on to Denver and OKC. I think this is the one that is going to be the closest out of the bunch right now from the way it's looking, right? It ended up in a 2-point win for the Nuggets, 121-119. Jokic had 42 and 22. On the other side, you had Shea, who had 33 and 10. You got the two guys that are fighting for the MVP, fighting in the second round of the playoffs. I've already said it. I don't know if I've said it on the pod, but I think Shea should have the MVP this year. I know Jokic has had a great year, but I think they're ultimately going to give it to Shea. He was number one in the West and stuff like that. So the MVP, I think it's more about story rather than his stats sometimes. So I think Shea will get it. But I don't know where to go with this series. I think Ramon, I think you said Denver in your first little monologue there in the first segment. I'm still a little undecided, but I think my gut wants to say OKC, and I think it's because they've got the experience, unlike last year. But just like last year, they're the number one seed. They're playing a tough Denver team, but I think at the end of the day, it will come down to depth in this series. And I think we talked about it a couple episodes ago where Denver's depth is not as strong as it was last year, but I have to give credit to Denver's depth. Russell Westbrook, there was a report that came out about Denver and the Clippers, right? The Clippers' game plan was to leave Westbrook open, and shout out to Westbrook, he made them pay. He hit the shots that he needed to hit. And I think that's really what it's going to come down to. How is OKC going to focus on Westbrook? How are they going to game plan for this Denver team? Because their bench is doing, I think, better than I think all three of us thought, because I think that was what a lot of us had a problem with Denver was their depth. And I think at the end of the day, I think there's a night Denver's depth won't show up, and I think OKC is going to be able to get a win. Now, whether that's in Denver or whether that's in OKC, I think Denver's depth will become a problem because OKC has depth all across the board. And I give a lot, and there's a reason Sam Presti won Executive of the Year. Alex Caruso and Isaiah Hartenstein were two major additions to this team, and that's what they needed when it came to their depth. Caruso had 20 points last night. Hartenstein was able to pull down 9 boards. They fit perfectly into this lineup. I think OKC's roster from top to bottom, it's just, I think it's got way too much more depth than Denver. And I think that's what's going to be the outlier in this 7-game series. I think OKC will get it done in 6, but I could see it going in 7 because Denver, just like the Clippers series, they're not going down without a fight when you've got the best player in the league in Jokic.
What about this, right? We talk about depth. But what about the depth of your core 4 players with championship DNA, deep playoff run experience? And I said on this line here that I thought the Clippers were going to win in 6, especially after Game 1, the way they dominated them physically. They came back. Not only did they win the series, they won the series in a way that you didn't expect them to win, and that wasn't not just Jokic. That was everybody. And I believe. And in this case, and it's early on, right? I don't give as much credit to the OKC depth that I would give to the Denver, championship DNA depth. They've got guys been there, done that, seen it. No one on the OKC roster has sniffed it. And as we saw in just even in the Pacers game last night, experience matters. In the playoffs, it's a different beast. And I know we say that all the time, and there are people that scoff at that. But you're looking at it before your eyes. Look at what happened last night. Pacers down double digits all game. Been there, done that. And on the other side, Cleveland, other than Spider, they had a bunch of McTryhards. They had a bunch, listen, I love Jarrett. Jarrett Allen is one of my favorite players who doesn't play for the Pacers, right? Good dude, all in, right? But again, the bottom line is they don't have the championship DNA. Spider doesn't have it. He's a great regular season player, and he's played great in the playoffs. Scored 48 points last night. But the DNA matters. And I'm gonna say this, and I may change it as the series goes. I say Denver wins the series. I'm not gonna say how many games. I think Denver wins the series.
I got Denver winning it. I've always have. I hear so many people talk about the experience that OKC has gained. How I remember what experience is not 1 year. I look at it took multiple years for the Pistons to take down the Celtics, multiple years for the Bulls to take down the Pistons, and we can keep going on and on and on about what experience truly has been in pro sports. It's not that 1 year, that one time you were in the playoffs. You gotta figure it out for multiple times, multiple years, unless you got like that star-studded team that can assemble real quick and win a championship. And even then, i.e. the Lakers with Carmelo on them, it don't work because experience it's over time. It's not one experience. And that's why I think we are with OKC. We got very talented kids, very skilled, very good team, but still inexperienced. They're gaining experience, and they're going to get better, and they're going to be dangerous. But right now, who do they turn to when the bullets start flying, when the heat's turned up? Who's been in that situation before? Who's gonna put their arms around the whole program or the whole team or whole organization and be like, I've been here before. Follow me. Walk this way. Do it like this. I've seen this story before. And if we do this, this is how it ends. They don't have that type of dude. And that's going to be the issue. But they are talented.
Maybe it's not this year, but soon, if that core can stay together in OKC, getting there, what would be great for them? Think about this. They swept the first round. they have a 7-game series here. And then if they win, now I don't think they will, but if they win a 7-game series against Denver, going to the WCF, now you're starting to see things, right? You start seeing things, and that may give them an opportunity. If not this year, next year for sure. But right now, man, I'm leaving. I'm working with the guys with the gray hairs, man. I'm working with the hairs.
So we've pretty much covered all the series. The last one's Minnesota and Golden State, and I kind of feel so. It's like it's kind of weird actually. So the experience that we're talking about on the Denver side, I think OKC. I think they're gonna figure it out. But I will say on the other side of the bracket in the West, I think experience could trump here with Curry, Draymond, Butler. I do kind of feel that way on the opposite side of the Western bracket with Golden State and Minnesota. Obviously, Minnesota got pretty far last year and then came up short. But I think on the Golden State side, even without Curry, I am pretty confident that Golden State can get it done. And I think that first game is what really opened my eye because I was pretty confident in Minnesota, right? I thought they would play really well and make this a closer game. But it really, honestly, what separated that game in the first quarter and Minnesota could just never get back was it was Daryl's least favorite guy. I mean, Draymond hit 4 for 5 in that first quarter from 3-point land. And I'm not really a Draymond fan either. Like, I'm not either. He gave them a nice little separation there to start off that game, and then they kind of just held that lead for the whole game, and Minnesota got closer, but they could never close the gap quite enough to get that lead. So now I'm really curious to see because Curry's not playing the next game. That's already came out. I'm curious to see, I can't say his last name. Can Brandon step up? Can Jimmy Butler step up? Will Draymond step up again? Kind of like, now granted, Draymond didn't play well the rest of the game, but that first quarter, he hit a lot of threes there to give him some separation. So I'm curious to see how will the rest of Golden State step up with Curry being out against Minnesota, and can Ant take over? Because last year in the playoffs, and I highlighted it, Golden State or Minnesota versus Denver, everyone said, oh, Ant played so well. Ant did not play well in that game 7 against Denver and Minnesota. He did not play well. He hit the 3 to get them the win and whatever, but he did not play well in that series in game 7. So I want to see Ant step up the same way he played well in the Lakers series and the same way he played well last year in the playoffs. He didn't do in game 7 against Denver. I want to see him take over in this series because he's got a chance here to turn the tide for his team and really show I've got that championship, that it mentality, you know?
I believe the difference, though, is you're talking about a guy who plays well off of other guys. You're talking about the Saginaw Strangler. So, yeah, he played well. Well, he shot well in the first quarter, and he held his own the rest of the game. Didn't do much offensively.
Yeah.
But when you take out Curry from that team and this dynamic, and I'm going to call it here. This is why I want to do these early on. I'm calling it now. Curry won't be back. I don't believe Curry will be back. If you say he's out for a week, you always do, well, best case scenario. Yeah. I don't think he'll be back. And if that's the case, I don't think Golden State has a chance in hell. I don't. I'm not saying the next 4 games are going to be Minnesota, but because, you've got championship guys on that team, right? Yeah. And they're going to put up a fight, and they're going to be desperate. But I don't think there's a chance you have to beat this Minnesota team if you don't have Curry. And I don't care what Brandon Brzezinski does. He's not Steph Curry. He's reaping the benefits of playing with Steph Curry. And over time, what's going to happen is I told you about game planning in the playoffs. When we talked about that in Milwaukee, for Milwaukee and the Pacers and other teams, same thing. It's game planning. Someone once told me, hey, there's no way, and I don't want to bring this team up again. We talked about them enough. They played great at the end. Playoffs is a different beast, and the honeymoon is over. So I'm not going to say, Minnesota in 5, Minnesota in 6, all that stuff like that. But I just don't think you can win without Steph, man.
Yeah,
just don't.
Yeah, that's fair. But I think that's a fair assessment. I'm curious to see. Right, I don't really have a prediction yet because I want to see if he comes back. I think I kind of agree with you. I don't see him coming back. Right, you say a week. The series could be over in a week. So I think that's a good way to put it. Ramon, what do you think? I know I like Jimmy Butler. Right? I know Jimmy Butler can usually seal the deal, but it may be a little late in his career to try to to pull this type of series out, you know?
I think that I think Jimmy's the great glue guy. And I think that those guys are gonna rally around the team and Jimmy's gonna lead it. And I think that it's gonna go to I think I got Golden State in 6, but I got a dream. Steph doesn't come back to game 7. It goes to game 7, and the beige bully bomber comes back and tear the roof off this joint. Everywhere. Light skin for 3. Light skin for 3.
WWE. WWE.
Yes.
Isaiah, hey, tell me, Isaiah, wouldn't that be a WWE entrance?
Hey.
You get the Stone Cold Steve Austin intro come in, the glass break.
He walks out there
talking crazy.
And talking crazy, talking about how this is over. They about to end it in Minnesota, and he don't know that the beige bomber is on a plane. He not even waiting for the plane to land. He gonna parachute out with a ball in his hand.
It's gonna be an interesting series. We've covered all the series, so we got a little bit of extra time here to just kind of talk about the playoffs and kind of our overall thoughts. And I said it to my stepdad after last night. This has been my favorite playoff since probably we got Milwaukee and Phoenix. What was it now? 2-3 years ago. What would you guys think about this playoffs? Has it been the best playoffs in a while for the NBA? I think last year's was pretty good. Obviously the injuries never help, right? And I think the injuries definitely hurt the East in a lot of sense. But I mean, at the end of the day, it wasn't a bad playoffs. But I think this playoffs has been 10 times better than the last 2 we've had since Milwaukee and Phoenix in 2021. What would you guys think about these playoffs and maybe even some of the officiating as well? I think it has been a bit more physical as well. I think they've definitely let them play a little more. I'm not, giving them too much credit because there's always going to be some rough calls, but I think for the most part, I like the physicality that we've seen in these playoffs.
I'll give you my piece, right? We talk physicality. I think it's been a bunch of cat fighting. I don't think it's physical at all. I think it's basketball, right? And this is 2025. This isn't 1973. So yes, is there more touching going on in the playoffs? Yes, but you're men. You're playing basketball. My issue is many times when a guy gets hit, the first thing he does the head snap back and he falls to the ground. That doesn't tell me it's physical. That tells me you've been watching a lot of acting classes because you see it all the time. So I don't want to see that. So the flip side, I want to see guys playing hard, playing with a lot of intensity, without all the BS, all the Draymond flinging the arms and then him doing his arms like this and kicking his legs out. That's not basketball. And that's not physicality. That's BS. So the flip side of that, look at these 2 games that the Cavs and the Pacers have played. And I'm not talking about because I'm a Pacer fan. There's been no garbage. No garbage, no flailing, no guys slamming themselves on the floor, acting like someone shot them with a sawed-off shotgun and then get up and they keep on playing. That's basketball to me, right? You out there balling, you get knocked down, you get back up. And again, I'm not a Cleveland fan, but Spider last night, when he got knocked down, what did he do? He got back up. You don't lay on the floor looking for a flagrant, right? So, but I will tell you this playoff season so far has been one of the most entertaining, and because some of the flailing and all of that's a bit of an entertainment perspective as well. But it has been entertaining. And the other thing is, you got a lot of good teams in the playoffs. And these dudes, they're playing hard. I'll give them that. They're playing hard. There's no lollygagging and all of that stuff like that. So to your point, Isaiah, I give you your kudos, man. You're right. It's been a hell of a playoff run so far. Think about this. This is round 2, and most of the series are 2 of the series are just game 1. So I look forward to the next 2 weeks of playoff basketball. I absolutely do. With or without my boys. I look forward to it.
Ramon?
Man, this has been like the most exciting playoffs in maybe since the 90s. Like you got number 1 seeds down. and you got number one seeds down 1-0 with the outlook that they could possibly lose.
Mm-hmm.
And it not look like an upset. It just looks like the team that beat them are just better than them. This is a good playoffs. I think the only playoffs that I probably enjoy better than this is 1994. I enjoyed 94 very well. You probably don't remember that, Isaiah, but that's when I know, Koch, you remember
that was a Rockets championship, though. I'm just trying to remember who the champion was. So that was the Rockets.
But that's when the Nuggets had the big upset, I think.
Yeah, against Seattle, the Dikembe Mutombo. Yeah.
So I guess I'll put a modern touch on the last one. So I said the last one I think was best overall was probably 2021. But I think if you go farther back, I think the other playoffs that I enjoyed as well was probably, I think 2014 and 2016 were the other two that I can remember fondly just enjoying. 2014 is a little blurry because I was still, I think, like in 4th grade or 5th grade or something, but 2016 was,
man,
I know
you make Ramon feel old, man.
2016 was also one.
I'm about to log off, man.
And 2016 is one I enjoyed, not just because of the finals, but also because the Western Conference Finals was enjoyable. OKC choked a 3-1 lead in that one. The East was pretty entertaining for the most part, even though it was kind of a barren wasteland at that point, other than the Cavs and maybe like the Celtics. But that's probably the last one I'd say I enjoyed the most. And then 2021 was fun as well, with Katie having his foot on the line against Milwaukee. And then, you have the West, which was still pretty interesting with the Nuggets and some other teams in there. So I've enjoyed these playoffs, though. These playoffs have been really good. I thought last year's was good too, but I think having not as injuries are always going to be something that you kind of look at. And I think for me, there's been less injuries, and obviously it's going to make the games better. And I think in this case, on both sides, it has made them better. Every team that had a game win in the second round has lost at this point. So it's completely flipped the table on what our expectations were in these playoffs. I'm really curious to see how this all ends when it comes to the finals and everything else. It's going to be interesting as we get down to the wire. But since we have some extra time, I do want to focus on some teams that are out of the playoffs, not named the Lakers, since we gave them kind of that whole segment there. So let's start with.
I blame Ramon. I blame Ramon for that.
I had a rebuttal on the Reddit thing. But it is what it is, right? It doesn't bother me. Hopefully I come out right in the next year or two, but we'll have to see. I want to start with Milwaukee, though, right? I think Milwaukee's the biggest talking point out of the teams that got eliminated in the first round, and Houston. We'll probably go to Houston next if we have time, but I want to go to Milwaukee. What are your thoughts on Milwaukee? And I'll start us off when it comes to the Bucks, right? Because I said it.
They're done.
Yeah, I said it at the deadline when the Pacers traded for Siakam last year.
The old Dame. Listen, man, give him his props, right? The guy has been a tough guy to guard, a dedicated player. Achilles injury isn't a broken finger, okay? He won't be back at the earliest until deep in the second half of the season next year as a 35-year-old NBA player. No, done. This summer, Giannis is leaving Milwaukee. Milwaukee is insignificant at this point.
And I said it last year. The core is just too old to compete at this point. Lopez is
Chris Middleton. Why would you trade Chris Middleton for Kyle Kuzma?
Kyle Cardio Kuzma at the. Wow. It doesn't make any sense, and I don't know where Giannis ends up. I don't think he ends up in Houston. I think Kevin Durant will end up in Houston, and I think Jalen Green will be part of that package, but that's a whole nother conversation. But I don't know where Giannis ends up. I think right now Brooklyn may be a candidate because they've got the assets. I'd have to think of some other teams off the top of my head, but if I'm thinking of assets alone, Brooklyn is something that comes into mind. I keep wanting to say Toronto, but they kind of are trying something out over there, so I'm not going to say Toronto. But there's some teams that will be in play that I can't think of right now. Obviously, the Heat will get named, but I don't know if they'll get that done either. There's a lot of question marks on where Giannis will go, but one thing I'm confident about in the offseason is that KD will go to Houston. Jalen Green will go to Phoenix. And then after that, everybody else can figure out what they want to do. But I think KD to Houston's going to be a lock come this summer. If you guys want to talk about both of those, because we've got 10 minutes left.
Can you imagine? Here, you know what I've been seeing a little bit of, not a big, avalanche, because Miles is up with his deal, right? He's going to, command between 30 and 40 a year. Some people are saying, and I don't agree with this, I want Miles to stay as a Pacer. Some people are saying sign and trade Miles to Milwaukee with Jarris Walker and someone else to Milwaukee and bring Giannis to Indianapolis. Why? Because he's played in a smaller market. It's a Midwest area. He's a family man. He doesn't have to do a lot of movement. I don't like it.
If you can't beat him, join him.
I want Miles to stay as a Pacer. This is year 10 for him.
Yep.
He's been committed. The guy cares. And he's not looking, not one statement he said, I'm looking to do something else. He says, I want to be a Pacer. I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
So, but people have been saying that. I don't know how much teeth it really matters. But yeah, I'm good with not having. Listen, everybody wants a great player. Giannis, great player, better player than Miles. With that said, Miles has the Pacer acumen. Giannis doesn't. I don't see him wanting to do the things that we need to do in Indiana. So no, I'm good.
Ramon, what are your thoughts? Milwaukee, Houston,
Milwaukee need to bring back my guy.
Big dog.
B-Rob. Gary's finest. Trade for him. Bring the dog back. 2-5, get live. Come on.
Big dog. This is what I'm talking about. Gary's own, right?
If they can't bring back Gary's finest, man, I don't care about him.
I love it.
Man.
That's what's up,
bring
man.
Back G-Rob, big dog. Other than that,
the man said it. The man said it.
I'm trying to help you out, Milwaukee. Bring him back in some capacity. Nah, man. It's time for Giannis to go, man. Every good thing has to come to an end. Giannis needs to pack his stuff, hit his radio. Now it's time to say goodbye to all my Milwaukee friends. It's time to go, man.
And even to add on to that, the Bucks don't have a pick till 2030 run, a first-round pick. There's nothing you
30, can... 31.
Yeah, 2031. Yeah. Okay. I must have stuttered a little bit there. But yeah, it's over. There's nothing much you can do. I don't know how Milwaukee convinces him in that meeting. Money's not going to convince him. Giannis wants to win again. He wants to win. I don't know where he goes. But we will have to see. We've got
whatever they got to do to get as many picks for him as possible.
Yeah.
Look, I think that's where he goes. Whoever can give the most.
We've got about 5 minutes left in the segment, so I do want to hit on Houston. Right, they were the second seed in the West. I think their playoff loss has to do with the Warriors being so experienced and everything. I think we all said the Warriors were going to win this series, and I even said I think Jalen Green's going to be the reason they don't win. And
go back to what you said, Isaiah. You got to go back to what you said. Say what you said. That was on so.
So I said before the playoffs, I said Jalen Green. I love Jalen Green, right? I've supported him since the draft. I said he'll be better than Cade Cunningham based on his ceiling alone, athleticism, explosion, everything else. And I said he's been very inconsistent as a player, right? A lot of people that have been doing a lot of insights on him. If you look at how he performed in the G League before he got drafted, creates his own shots, does this and that. I've watched this playoff series extensively because of what I said on that clip. And you can see he kind of doesn't have the same confidence that he did when he first came into the league. He was so much more confident as a playmaker, making people better as a playmaker as well. You just don't see that. And I said, Jalen Green will give you 30 one night, and then he'll give you 7 the next. He put up, I want to say 8, and then he put up 30, and then he put up 7, 8, and 8. I said when they had this game 7 in it wasn't our group chat, it was a different group chat. I said at 4:30 that day, I said Jalen Green's going to give them 7 points. He put up 8 points. Jalen Green's going to be a part of this trade package, and you know what makes it even worse for Jalen Green is how well Amen Thompson played in Game 7 before he hurt his leg. Amen Thompson played phenomenal in Game 7, even though they lost. Houston never got close to winning that game, but Amen almost got them to the point where they almost got to the lead. And I just got to say, Houston, I'm not a Kevin Durant guy, right? I've never been a Kevin Durant guy,
You made it clear.
I've made it clear. But I think when we come to a trade package, if I'm the Houston Rockets and they ask for Amen Thompson, I'm hanging up the phone. If they're not taking Jalen Green, then just keep your unit and wait elsewhere to get another star. But if they don't ask for Amen Thompson or Sengun, if they ask for Van Vliet, Brooks, or whoever, take the deal. Because I think KD can get you over the hump with the guys you've got. Sengun can perform in the playoffs. Amen showed you can perform in the playoffs. Honestly, I would try to keep Van Vliet as well because he did well as well. If you can get rid of Green, Brooks, and some Tari Eason, whoever, and some picks for Kevin Durant at this age, and he still performs at the level he does, if you just need a closer, yeah, I think KD's a for sure, for no question. But if they're asking for you to give up Amen Thompson, and you got to keep Jalen Green, I don't know, because Amen played really well on both sides of the ball, and Jalen didn't do well on either side.
And he's not a ball smotherer, right? He's going to move it. Jalen Green played a lot of hero ball in that 7, right? And you know what? That looks fine on ESPN highlights, but he put them in a precarious position. If he would just play with the proverbial within himself, I say Houston would have won that game. But it was his show, and he felt like it was his show, and he didn't show.
It should have been his show. It should have been, honestly, but he didn't perform well. And honestly, I hope it's a 3-team deal. I hope he doesn't go to Phoenix because, I mean, imagine he's going to be clogged in between Bradley Beal and Booker, but I think they're going to try to get off Beal this summer. We'll see. I don't think it'll happen because of his contract.
But he's not in his last year.
Yeah.
So I think he's got 2 years left with a player option. So the buyout market doesn't work like it would if he would have been in his last year. So unless they got a sucker, who thinks Bradley Beal can play right now?
Yeah.
No one. So you're probably going to and he's not a marketable guy, right? He's not a marketable guy. I mean, maybe you call Washington and say, hey, we'll throw a whole bunch of stuff your way. But they don't have picks either. I think Bradley Beal is the Phoenix Sun next year.
Yeah, I hope it's a 3-team deal because I don't want to see I still love Jalen Green, don't get me wrong. I don't want to see him clogged in between Devin Booker and Beal like that because at that point you're in even a worse situation. I'd hope it's a 3-team deal and he can kind of go elsewhere and somebody gets involved. We'll have to see. Ramon, I want to give you get your thoughts in here as we're about to run out of time.
Yeah, one thought that has nothing to do with Houston.
Okay.
It's a minute and 26 seconds left in the first half of the New York Boston game, and Boston has shot 21 3-pointers already.
Well, there you go. Are they winning?
They winning.
Okay. Well, but not
What's the score? I don't have it.
39-49.
Okay.
Not enough.
Yeah.
And they're shooting 23% from the 3-point line.
Yeah. We'll have to see how it goes, fellas. It was good to get 2 segments in today. Ramon, it was great to have you. Not only we had you for the NFL part, but not the NBA part. And I appreciate you swapping the backgrounds based off the topics we were doing. So I appreciate that. But fellas,
don't give me too much credit.
That is going to do it for this episode of the Game Time Podcast. Hopefully we record Sunday, so you could be seeing some more uploads come next week.
I'll be back. I'll be back in Indy on Sunday.
But that is going to do it. We will see you guys next time for more of the Game Time Podcast.